when you started in 2010, if you're going to focus on delivery, obviously the user experience starts with your phone or your computer or your tablet or something like that. Did you build that internally? Did you outsource that? How did you think about building that experience?
Yeah, so it's a that's also a good question because it's a big issue with us. But we kind of started we kind of thought of a three-pronged strategy to start. Firstly, we start with white label, so you can get an off-the-shelf system that you can brand in your own colors and logos for no capital cost, and
Yeah,
it's a really good way to start the business. Now you end up paying these guys a percentage of your turnover, but for anyone who's thinking about starting with, it's a great way to start because I think to start building your own bespoke system when you don't know anything about it is probably pretty wasteful and you'll end up with something that's not fit for purpose. So we got a pretty good white label solution to get started. And then the second part of our system was we wanted to get an outside company to build our own one. And the third part of it was to bring it in-house. So we're in the late part of the second stage, which is we commissioned a company 4 years ago in London to build our own online ordering engine, which we use, and it's doing over half our sales now, and it works great. And we will hire a CTO at the end of this year to start bringing that in-house.
robots in the kitchen. What's up with that? How's it going? Why'd you
Yeah,
do it?
so why do we do it? If you've ever been in Domino's Pizza Kitchen, so they basically they assemble the pizza, and then they put it through an automatic conveyor oven, and it comes out the other end cooked. Right, where they have in our kitchens are very similar, except where they have an automatic conveyor oven, we have a wok cooker, and where they have this automatic machine with a conveyor, we have four chefs standing cooking. So where they have no labor, we've got four. So we look at that and we think, is there any way we could automate our process so we could have like that conveyor oven that Domino's have, reduce our labor costs, arguably pass on some of that savings to our consumers with lower prices, but increase our margins, increase our profitability. So we found a system, the process of cooking on a wok is actually kind of repetitive. So you put your food in and then you toss it around like this, and it's kind of repetitive action, and then you decant it into a cup. So we found a system that can kind of mimic that. And it's actually, I don't know if you remember as a kid, the old building sites with the cement mixers, the little ones in the trailer and the little
Yeah,
bucket spins.
yeah,
Remember them?
I do.
So
I'm old enough.
yeah. So imagine taking out your wok cooker and replacing with a line of 5 of these little buckets that spin around over a heat source. So we're in the process of trialing it at the moment, and we think we can make the 4 chefs that used to stand at our wok on a Friday night, we can make that 2 chefs. So 1 to feed the buckets and 1 to empty them instead of 4. That's a pretty major impact on the labor costs in our business, and particularly with the the use people of these aggregators now. One of the things we have to do with the DoorDashes or deliveries or Just Eats is we have to find, if we've got to pay them those kinds of commission, we've got to find savings somewhere else in the business. The
Yeah.
drones, which is much more interesting.
Oh, let's go
The
to the drones then.
drones, the drones. So yeah, we're arguably the first in the world commercially delivering by drones. We're doing it in a little town in the west of Ireland as a test with the Irish Aviation Authority. It's a town of about 8,000 people, so that's about 3,000 households. And they are ordering currently, as we speak, and getting delivered by drones every day. So we've done
That's crazy. Brody,
thousands of
that's
deliveries.
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've done thousands of deliveries now, and it works really well. When I say works really well, the drones can fly in 98% of weather conditions, and 99.5% of the time, our delivery arrives perfectly. So how it works is so if we're taking a first-time order from you, James,
Yeah.
you do it on our app, and we send you back a message and saying, would you like a regular delivery or drone delivery? And
Drone,
if you want
please.
if you want a drone delivery, we have your postcode. So we
Yeah.
send you back a Google Earth image of your house with a
Yeah.
grid overlaid in it, and we say pick a square where you want your food dropped. So presumably you're not going to
Ah.
pick your roof. You're going to pick the front
Has
yard, the
has that
backyard,
happened?
the driveway. No,
Has
no,
someone
nobody's picked.
picked their
No, we
roof?
haven't. No, but I'm always asked that, but nobody's picked it yet. So we know where to drop it. So we cook the food, we load it into the drone. So currently we're just outside a little shopping mall in this little town called Oranmore, and the drones are parked on the roof of the shopping mall. So we have to cook the food. One of our guys runs up to the drone. It's really quick, and we load it into the drone, and the drone takes off to about 400 feet and flies at 50 miles an hour directly to the square you've picked out on your grid at your house. And when it gets to the square, it hovers over. It sends you a text message asking you, will you accept your order? And you accept it. The drone comes down to 40 feet, a little door opens underneath it, and the food comes down on a string right in the middle of the square you've picked. And then the string unravels from the drone, falls down, and the drone goes back to base. The average time for delivery from the time we load the drone to get to your house is 90 seconds. 90 seconds.
Oh,
And
now
it
has the Irish Aviation Authority, or whatever they're called, figured out what they're going to do if every restaurant does drone delivery? Because I just imagine everyone going up in the air at the same time. Like, you know, I
well,
mean,
that's actually
air traffic control is a big deal for planes.
It is, and actually for each flight we do, each delivery we do, we file a flight plan with the Irish Aviation Authority, and we're given a corridor to fly down. And when we fly back to base, that's cancelled out, and it's all done automatically, so you wouldn't even notice it. But that's a real challenge, is the future proofing of it. So if you can imagine London with 50,000 drones flying over at the same time for loads of different companies, they've got to make sure they don't crash into each other or
So
cause
that's fascinating.
accidents.
So you get a corridor that's yours for 5
Absolutely.
minutes or something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
it doesn't interfere with civil aviation because they fly above 1,000 feet, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't
So
be
it's not.
worried about that. I'd be worried
Yeah,
about
no, it's
all of
just the
the other
drones.
drones.
Well, it's not an issue today because we've got 3 drones flying an hour and more, so it's not an
Yeah,
issue. But that is the issue, is future proofing it. It lends itself really well to suburbs. So a house with a garden, not so great. A downtown high-rise area, because you can imagine you can't deliver
yeah,
to the 40th story of an apartment block, but you will see apartment blocks building drone landing bases outside their front door. So we
yeah.
can't deliver to the 40th floor, but you can walk down to the reception and get it there. But
Super.
it is a game changer. That's the thing. So this is
Yeah,
using technology to deliver quicker, cheaper, more environmentally friendly. Like, that's really cool. This isn't just the pure side of it. This is real. First of all, it's working. Like, it's actually real. And we're going to a second town in Ireland. Seem to be world leaders in this at the moment.
yeah,
Even the
you are.
Americans are kind of going, this is, we're not as well advanced as you guys now. And it solved a lot of the issues people are concerned. There's no cameras on, there's no security issues. It's relatively quiet. It's a little noisy when it's landing now, but relatively quiet. But it won't work in all our outlets. So it won't work in areas where we can't actually land a drone. So we need the space, like a 20-foot shipping container, to land a drone. Some of our sites don't have that. Some of them are in too much of a built-up area. So it's one thing to say, would you be inconvenienced as a consumer with a drone landing beside you? And you probably won't, because it won't be very frequent. But if you're living next door to one of our restaurants and there's 100 movements a night of aircraft,
Right.
you mightn't like that.
Yeah.
So there are some sites that won't work. It'd be great for shopping malls, out-of-town retail parks where we have locations, good suburban places. But it's not going to work in every location.